software you'll need, the first is the RetroPie image, and that can be obtained from blog.petroblock.com. Make sure to check the description for all the links to these downloads. When you get to this website, go to RetroPie Project, go to Downloads, and on this page we have RetroPie Project 2 in brackets. Now because I'm using a Raspberry Pi 2, I'm going to download the second one, RetroPie Project SD card image for Raspberry Pi 2. If you have a Raspberry Pi 1, you select the Raspberry Pi 1 option. Click that, and we have a download button here on the left. You can see that we'll be downloading version 2.6 for the RPi 2, and that is the latest version as of the 22nd of January. If you prefer to download via BitTorrent, scroll down a little bit and you'll see a BitTorrent link right here, and that will allow you to download that. So download this to your desktop, and that's all you'll need from this website. Next up is the SD card formatter from sdcard.org. We'll be downloading SD Formatter 4.0 and using this to format our SD card for optimal performance and a nice clean format. Third on the project is the Win32 Disk Imager. We'll be using this to write our image to our SD card for the Raspberry Pi to read, and this is available on SourceForge. Please check the description for the link, but it's as simple as clicking download, opening the installer and installing that to your hard drive. Along with those pieces of software, we'll also need an archiving program. I prefer 7-zip, and that can be obtained from 7-zip.org. WinRAR will also be a suitable alternative for this. So the first thing we want to do is open our SD formatter that we downloaded and use that to format the SD card which we've inserted into our PC. By default, the drive letter should be your SD card, but double check that that is the correct drive and the size for your SD card is correct. I'm going to type a volume label of Pi and I'm going to click Format. It will give you a warning message, just hit OK and OK again. Once that is complete, our SD card is ready for writing the image. Now we need to prepare the image that we downloaded from RetroPie on petrockblock.com. So let's close our SD formatter and move on to the image file that we downloaded. Now here is the file that I downloaded. You can see that is a archived file, so we need to unzip that. I'm going to use 7-zip and extract the image from that file. Now once that is extracted, we want to open our Win32 Disk Imager that you would have installed. If you haven't done that, do that now quickly. Now once that's open, we're going to select our image file using this button. Because I extracted to the desktop, there's my image file right there. And click open on that. The device we want to install to is selected from this drop down here, and G drive is my micro SD card. And then once those two settings are done, it's as simple as pushing right. Select yes on the pop-up. And wait for progress to reach 100%. Now this may take a few minutes, I'm going to speed up this part of the video and come back to you at 100%. Now once that's complete, click OK. Push exit. We're done with our PC for now, so you want to safely remove your SD card from the system. Unplug your device, and now we're going to move across to the Pi. First up, we want to take our micro SD card with our freshly written RetroPie image and insert that into our Raspberry Pi. Now you can see me doing that now on screen, or at least struggling to do that. And once it is done, we'll move on to step 2. Now I'm going to take my HDMI port and connect that. Now in hindsight, I probably should have done this last because it's quite a thick cable and it's difficult to move the Pi with that connected. I'm now connecting the power cable, and please note that this is not plugged into a power source just yet. Now we want to connect our USB keyboard. I'm just putting that into one of the available ports.
Don't forget your USB gamepad if you have one. I'm using the Xbox 360 controller for
Windows, the hardwired version. I'm just going to connect that to one of the other spare USB ports. Now we're good to go, so we go to the other end of our micro USB power cord, plug that into our adapter, and then insert that into a power point. If all goes well, our Raspberry Pi should boot up, so now let's look at the screen. Now if you followed all my steps correctly, you should be seeing this screen, which is your Raspberry Pi booting up. And that is very good news. Now we just have to be patient while this happens. It can take anywhere from sort of 15 to 30 seconds. But there we go, mine has booted in now to RetroPie. Now we'll see this splash screen for a little bit, just be patient because it still has to load up Emulation Station. And here we go. Now once that loads, we're going to be presented with our controller input and binding screen. So I'm just going to hold a key on the keyboard for 3 to 4 seconds. Now it's going to let me configure my keys for that input method. I'm pushing up, down, left, right, A and B. I've set to Z and X. Start, select, to return and shift. And now on the OK button, I'm going to push my A key, which was Z. Now once that's set up, we want to push F4 to get to the command line. We want to set up our Raspberry Pi. So we're going to type sudo raspi-config and push enter on that. That will bring us to this screen, allowing us to do our first setup procedure, which is expand the file system. Now this is only for cards bigger than 4 gigabytes, but just do this anyway, just to make sure. We want to push enter on the first option. And that's going to do some stuff in the background to give us full access to our SD card. Back on the original setup screen, there are 2 other things which I like to do. First is overclocking, and I like to set it to the Pi 2 setting, which puts it at 1000 megahertz. That's 100 megahertz above the default. And the second one, if like me you get black boxes around your screen, you want to disable or enable overscanning. Have a play with those settings to see which works for you. Push enter on one of those. Now I just want to jump back into the advanced options to talk about some of the other possibilities. We've already looked at overscan. If we go down to A9, we'll see that we have the option to force audio through our HDMI or our audio jack. Have a play with those settings if you're having any audio issues. And we've also got A4 SSH. Now we won't be touching that in this video, but remember that setting because we will use it in a more advanced setup video. Now we're going to push right twice to get to the finish button. We're going to push enter on that and we're going to reboot back into Emulation Station. Now when we get back into Emulation Station, we're going to push F4 again and go back to the command line, so I'm going to jump to that point in the video now. Okay, we're back in and we're back on this screen. When you get to this, push F4 and we're going to go back to the command line. One good command is ls, which will show you all the files and folders in the directory you're in. Now I'm just going to type cd space RetroPie with a capital R and then dash setup with a capital S. Now one little tip is if you push the capital R and then push tab on your keyboard, it's going to auto-complete as much of that word as it can and save you some typing. I quickly typed the ls command again to see what was in that directory, and what we want to access is retropie_setup.sh. Now see on screen now to see the command to open that file, and that is sudo./retropie_setup.sh. Push enter after you've completed that and we're going to see this screen. We want to go down to option number 3, setup. And we're going to ignore most of these now and go down to 317, which is register RetroArch controller. Push enter, make sure your gamepad is connected. It's going to tell you that on the next screen, like so. So connected now if it's not connected. And then we're going to be presented with a prompt to configure our keys. Now read what it says very carefully here, and if you need to do it again, but follow the instructions and you have to be quick. 3 seconds to input your key, and if not, it just skips to the next one. If you do stuff up, just follow this procedure again until you get it right. The analog keys can be tricky, and make sure you read what's in the brackets for the direction you want to push. Now we are done for this screen, so push right and go across to cancel. Select that, and push right again and go to cancel once more. We don't need to reboot as I've selected on the screens, just go to cancel and push enter. We'll go back to the command line. Now once we're here, we're going to double check that our gamepad is working. We're also going to record the key presses that are going to allow us to exit from the emulators. So you're going to type jstest space /dev/input/js0. Now if JS0 doesn't work, try JS1 and see the command on the screen right now if you're having trouble hearing me. This brings up our gamepad test tool and it shows, and this gives you feedback on which keys are being pressed at the current time. Now you want to remember the numbers of two buttons which are going to be your exit key press combination. I'm going to use 8 and 9. Now hold Control and push C to exit from this screen. And now we're going to edit our configuration file to use those gamepad inputs to exit our emulators. Now on screen I'm going the long way to this file that we want to access. But if you don't want to do this, you can just type the text which I've put up there on the screen now straight away. So you can either follow what I'm doing on screen or type the text that I've displayed overlaying the video. We also want to remember the two buttons we wrote down from before. I'm using 8 and 9. And you also want to remember which buttons they correspond to on your controller. Now if all went well, we'll be in our configuration file ready to edit. Now an easy way to get around is to push Ctrl W to search for some text. I'm going to put on screen now what you want to search for. And if done correctly, it should bring us to this part of the configuration file. We'll see hashtag 2 analog sticks, DualShock-esque. Now just push the down arrow on your keyboard and type the following 2 lines where I am doing so now. Now they're displayed on screen. Make sure you change your 8 and 9 to the 2 numbers you wrote down before when we were doing our gamepad test. So input underscore enable underscore hotkey underscore btn equals 8 and input underscore exit underscore emulator underscore btn equals 9. They're my 2 key presses to exit my emulators. Now once that is done, we want to exit our configuration file, and that's done by pushing Ctrl+X. It's going to ask us if we want to save this file, and to do that we're just going to push Y, and it's going to ask us for a file name, and for that we're just going to push enter. Now to get back into our emulator, we want to go to emulation station, type that into the command line, and that's going to open up emulation station. So that's all our configuration done, and now we need some games. So we're going to jump back to our Raspberry Pi and we're going to insert our USB thumb drive into one of the spare USB spots. What this is going to do is set up a folder structure on this USB thumb drive. We're going to take it back to our PC and use that folder structure to copy our ROMs and games onto the Raspberry Pi system. Now give the USB in the Raspberry Pi about 30 seconds to set up the folder structure just to be sure, and then we want to disconnect our USB drive and put it back in our desktop PC or laptop. Now guys, once you plug your USB back into your computer, you're going to open up that USB, and what you're going to find in the directory is a folder called ROMs. Now when you plug the USB into your Raspberry Pi, it's created this directory to allow you to easily copy ROMs from your PC onto the USB and from the USB onto your Pi. So double click that and we'll see all our folders available, and you simply have to put the ROMs for a specific system into that system's folder. Now it's as simple as that guys. Once all your ROMs are copied over, we safely disconnect our USB drive from the PC and then we plug it into the Pi. Now guys, we're almost at the end. What I've done is taken my USB with the ROMs on it and plugged it back into my Raspberry Pi. Now what we've got to do now is wait for the Raspberry Pi to copy all those ROMs onto your SD card. Now the time for that is going to depend on how many ROMs you have on there. It helps if you have a USB with a little indicator light, because when it stops flashing you know it's stopped reading and writing. But the best thing to do is take the time it took to copy everything onto USB, and it's probably going to take at least that long to copy it from the USB onto the Pi. So leave it in there for a while, go do something else just to make sure. Now you can see on screen now that I'm just configuring my gamepad to move around the menus. This is going to allow me to remove my keyboard from the system. If you've gotten this far, I'm pretty confident you can do that very easily by yourself, but if not, leave a comment and I'll update how to do that. Now we can remove our keyboard. And now hopefully all our ROMs have been copied over to the SD card, so what we have to do is restart our Raspberry Pi system, and that will allow all the emulators to show up on our main emulation station screen. So once we load in, we're going to see all those new emulators, and I'll load into one quickly and also show you the gamepad in action and the gamepad exiting from the emulator without the keyboard. So here we are guys, almost at the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like and a comment. I'll be doing more tutorials like this in the future, going into the more advanced settings on RetroPie. And that's about it guys, so now just sit back and watch me play a few games. And I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.